Ah,
Ladies, gentlemen, bodies of water, welcome to the Alchemy Lab, or maybe a toolkit, or maybe Streets of Mir. This is something completely different today that basically I have been bullied into by these lovely gentlemen here and our good friend Arthadian at Arthadian Anthologies. I was going to say Arcologies. He's not building things. Well, he is building things.
he is kind of.
Anyway, as is tradition on this channel, I've already gone on a tangent while introducing this. My
That's
name
a
is Lee
record, I think.
Simmons. I am Lee Simmons today, but I am creating two characters today. Cassius and Calthar, two people who you haven't seen in quite a while.
Creating or recreating, perhaps.
Indeed.
Indeed. I'm Carl, and I'm not Graccus, but I will be making Graccus today.
Indeed. And I am Matt. I am the GM. What is the GM name?
It's the Alchemist.
The Alchemist.
I am the Alchemist.
Yes.
Hey,
I am
and
the
then-
Alchemist for the
You take
streets
the components
of
and you
Mir.
make the story.
Yes.
A little bit of foreshadowing there, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
bodies of water, because finally, after too long,
Oh, yeah.
too very long,
Let's not put a number on it. Let's just go with that.
we are finally retooling our characters from Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition into our own, not alchemy system, our own role-playing storytelling system, the Alchemy role-playing toolkit. This was, as if you've been watching us for any amount of time, this was a system that I created over a decade ago, let's just say it, because these gentlemen wanted to go from 4th edition to play a sci-fi role-playing game. And I thought, okay, I can retool 4th edition, and really, I probably could. But I got sick. I got very ill. I got what's called the Game Maker virus. And once you get the Game Maker virus, as at least two of us know, Carl's got like a variant of it. His is like the World Builder virus. But if you get into tabletop role-playing games for any amount of time, there's a little intrusive thought which comes into your mind, which goes, I could do this better. Now, I'm going to make a very bold claim here. I think we have done better. We have done better. Now, there will be things in this system that we won't be able to take over from 5th edition, because there's lots of scorecarding and accountancy and things like that. But today, what we are going to be doing,
bookkeeping.
There's a lot of bookkeeping,
Yeah.
and there'll be some things that we can't port over into our characters, but the spirit and the characters that you know and love will still be there. So this episode today will be myself and Carl going through the character creation system and a quick and dirty leveling system that I've had to introduce because we're not first level characters, and reskinning Cassius and Graccus into the Alchemy role-playing toolkit system. So we'll start. Go on.
Before we get into that, let's get some accountancy and bookkeeping out of the way first.
Yes.
So Cassius, Valentine, and Graccus Foebreaker. Let's start with Cassius. What was Cassius's class?
So,
and what level was he?
So Cassius was 2 classes. He was a rogue, I believe, as I always fucking am. I was a level 6 rogue and a level 6 warlock.
So because we were playing Gestalt characters.
We had Gestalt characters, which meant that every time we leveled up, we would dual class all the way through.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any like 9 levels here, 1 level here, 2 levels there. No, we just went up in 2 classes. So I was a level 6 rogue and a level 6 warlock.
And Graccus, what was Graccus?
Was a level 6 barbarian and a level 6 druid.
Right. So we're having to kind of translate that over. This is almost going to be a streamlining of those 2 characters.
Effectively, yes.
Into what we have here. And we can also, while we're going over this, we're going to probably get into some of the mechanics here, because I think we didn't really get it. We didn't get into much of the mechanics in the intro video, kind of on purpose, because here is a really good place to actually go over what mechanics are at play. And you'll see those on the character sheet, which is right here. Okay, now this is a very handsome.
This is the character sheet.
Very lovely, handsome character sheet. And let's pull in a bit on it. In fact, let's make us tiny and pull in. Now, immediately you'll be able to tell this is far less cluttered, and it's all on one bit of paper.
We love a one-pager here.
We love a one-pager, which is not what happens in 5e. And this is sort of a rough. This is Cassius Mark 1, I think.
This was me playing around with it today just to make sure a leveling system worked for this video today.
So
but everything gone.
This is what a finished character sheet, at least today, will look like. All right.
And lots of different numbers, and we can see suits here. As you know, this game is not played with various sided dice. It is just played with a deck of cards. The various reasons, which we did go into the intro video a bit, to keep the chance and the luck within there, but also to have a resource management system within this game. So the resource that you're managing, basically your energy, your get up and go within this. As you go throughout the game, you will be getting rid of cards, and all of a sudden, all of the good cards, they're going to be gone, and you might be stuck with 2s and 1s, and we don't want to be stuck with 2s and 1s in a role-playing game, do we?
Also an element of strategy to it.
Indeed. Do I want to be really, really good at having sex with a prostitute in a cat house? Now, in the first ever game that we played of this, I absolutely did want to be very, very good at being having sex with a prostitute in a cat house, mostly to make Carl do the noises and the happiness of the cat that I was in the room with. But I don't necessarily say that you need to do that. You could absolutely fail at that, because each epic success and epic failure is going to give good things to your game. There's going to be different ways in which to go through this, but lots of different things in which to go through here. So we'll be starting with Cassius today. So as you'll see straight away, there's some grey things here. There's power and there's finesse. So what I'm going to have to do is actually get onto that. I was actually going to start clicking on the screen of Zoom. So here we are on number 2. So for a start, I know that these need to be smaller. So I'm going to need to put these down here and start to write in who I bloody am. So Cassius, got his caps lock on, bloody hell, Valentine. So I need to know who I am and where I'm playing. I'm playing on the streets of Mir.
Okay.
So all good right away. Have you named your character? Do you know what game you're playing? So a chronicle.
I'm going to have to interrupt you here, Lee. Actually,
please do, Alchemist. Please do.
Mia is not spelt like that.
What?
It's spelt in an entirely different way, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, it's M-I-H-R-E.
M-I-H-R-E. Well, bloody hell. Have I just never ever looked at I just click them and watch them. I was like, oh, another one's come out. Bang.
every video title.
Every single one that we have done for all this time, I just click them. That is how much of a super fan I am of my own voice and the games that we play. So now we have 2 things over here as well: Triumph suit and spheres. What on earth are those, Lee? I hear you ask. Now I'm gonna have to get rid of these to start with. So the Triumph suit, as we play with cards, we have 4 suits. This is another mechanic that we can bring into the game. So with general card games and things like that, there will be certain cards which are better, certain suits that are better. Things like, I think, bridge, there'll be like a certain suit which will win in certain things, and stuff like that.
I think has that.
Sorry? Whist, that's the one that I was on about. I don't necessarily know.
Poker also has it as well.
It does, does it?
In some versions of poker, the spades will always play. So if you have an ace of spades, it's considered as beating any other ace, for example.
Yeah. Motorhead giving them giving the spade suit a fantastic PR job with their song Ace of Spades. So now you can generally, depending on sort of what variant of this game you'll be playing, this game is modular. There will be different things which you can add to this game. There will be certain sort of triumphs which will be attributed to you if you are, you know, a physical character or something like that. What I'm going to do today, I'm just going to be playing all blind. Okay, so my triumph suit is the only one that I don't want to have. Actually, I picked up a diamond, so we're not going to go with the diamonds. I'm actually going to be clubs. Why I don't want to be a diamond will become clear soon enough. So my triumph suit is clubs. Now, in the in sort of a different flavor of this game, this will be dependent on your archetype. Are you a warrior? Are you sort of a social person? Are you this? Are you that? But really, I'm just going to put in clubs now. So me and Carl, as characters, as protagonists in this story, we can have one of three triumph suits. We can have the spades, we can have the hearts, and we can have the clubs. The only person who can have the diamonds is the alchemist. They are concerned with beautiful things as the alchemist, so they are the only ones who are allowed to have that. But if you're playing this game and you want to have diamonds, well, talk about it at your table and then, you know, do what you want. The next thing you'll see is spheres. Okay, so the spheres of action. Now, in any role-playing game, you'll be doing different things. Now, with Dungeons and Dragons, this started off as a war game. Okay, so it was very physical in nature. But then you have, you know, new games coming out all the time where things like Blades in the Dark, for example, are very concerned with investigation or subterfuge or things like that. I'm sure there's a game where there's going to be a game out there where you'd be in sort of a royal court and there'd be lots of intrigue and diplomacy and social skills and things like that. So we have three spheres of action within Alchemy. We have the physical sphere, we have the mental sphere, and we have the social sphere. Now, not all spheres are created equal within a character. So I need to make a decision on what my superior sphere is, what my median sphere is, and what my inferior sphere is. So,
well, we can go along with what Cassius is, right?
Exactly. So I already know the character that I want to play. So Cassius, as we know, when he begun, he was called the Silver Tongue. So regardless of that, we're going into a big old battle, and if I wanted to min-max this character, it would probably be a good idea for my superior sphere to be physical. No, I don't want that, because we don't play that. We don't play it like that here at the Alchemy Lab. No,
we'll play that shit.
We don't play that. So my superior sphere is going to be the social sphere. Now, when I was creating this earlier, I was in between the two. Is he more physical? Is he more mental? And I'm going to say he's physical. Yeah, he likes to kill things. If anything, he's got more physical over the time. So his median sphere is going to be physical.
You did stab an old lady.
I did stab an old lady with Calliope's dagger.
That was very physical. It was a very physical
It was indeed,
act.
wasn't it? And mental sphere. So, oh Christ, this is the only thing with doing it live, isn't it? Like every single typo that I make is going to be seen. So now we can start to see what Cassius is like. So he's strongly social. His mental faculties aren't exactly the best, and he's a bit middling when it comes to the physical sphere. Now, below this, you will see allocate a maximum of 6 of 10 character points to power or finesse at Chronicle start, and you'll see these numbers change throughout the median sphere and the inferior sphere. So when you're creating a character, you get an allocation of points available to you to spend across the power area and the finesse area of that sphere. So each sphere is then cut in half, and we have two hemispheres, power and finesse. So with power, it controls two things: your well-being, which is your health in that sphere, and the acquisition, so your equipment in that sphere. Very easy to say that in the physical sphere that it would be equipment, but what would an acquisition be in the social sphere? So for my acquisitions there, this is going to be things like affiliations, connections, memberships, things like that. Okay, so when I did something like this earlier, for example, the two things that I originally put in Cassius was his information broker connections for an acquisition, and also his familiar Nyx, because basically all I use Nyx for is to spy. Like, Nyx goes around invisible and he spies on things. Now acquisitions are a part of the game which they do some real damage when it comes to any kind of confrontation. If I am able to use an acquisition in a scene, so a scene would be a confrontation, be that in physical, or it could be a negotiation in the social sphere, it could be an investigation in the mental sphere, in the shattered land streets of being landscape. So what kind of things would I like there? And then your well-being is how much energy that you have within that situation. So if myself and Graccus were in a social negotiation, for example, and someone cuts us with a particularly cutting word or cuts through our lie or something, we're going to lose well-being in that social sphere. Very obvious in the physical sphere. In the mental sphere, we could be using up a lot of energy trying to find this bloody smoking gun in our investigation of the crime that we are trying to stop. Okay, so I have 10 character points to put between power and finesse. Now, how much health do I want to have? How many items do I want to have going into this? And then for finesse, we'll get onto that later. So I'm just going to remember what I put in here. I can't really remember because I made a full character at this point. But normally, also knowing Cassius, I really like skills as a player. Finesse deals with your skills. I like being the Swiss Army knife when it comes to skills. If I look at my 5e character sheet, there's plus 10s in there and there's 7s. Basically, I like to role play a character who is good at doing things. I don't need to be the person that bisects because I have an orc who can do that for me. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I think I'm probably going to put six of my character points into finesse, which means I'm going to be only putting 4 into power to begin with. So I'm just going to click this little box. If you printed this out, you can just color it over in some pencil. So I've got some refresh there. Oh no, I've done the wrong thing. I'm going to have to zoom in. Does it zoom in if I can zoom in and you guys?
I will zoom it in.
No, you don't need to. I just needed to get the right circle bit. I'm sure you guys can see it all nicely there. Okay, so I'm going to put 4 in there, and I'm going to put 6 down here, and we'll come to that in a second. So I'm going to put 6 in my finesse there. So 2, 3, 4, 6. Now you'll see little letters in there, and above that, 7 experience points equals 1 power point. 1 power point equals 1 refresh or 1 acquisition. So the refresh is how we create our health within our character. So health is not a static value within alchemy. So once you get knocked out, once you're reduced to 0 well-being, what will actually happen is that you'll gain a wound, as you can see here with the 4 suits laid up there. The wounds will affect your skills, how effective you are in a scene. If you get wounded in the spades, for example, it's your skill levels, everything like that. If you're using a spade in a further scene until that has been healed, is going to be very ineffective. We don't like wounds. Okay, we don't like wounds, and if we get a certain amount of value within the combined wounds, so in the superior sphere, if I get a value of more than 18 across those wounds, this character is retired. This is how the character dies in this, but they don't necessarily have to die. Who's going to die of, you know, a social negotiation? Perhaps he is just, ashamed and cast out, or perhaps in the mental sphere, he goes completely mad with just, you know, mental exhaustion. And, you know, he could potentially die in the physical sphere, or he could just be incapacitated. We leave that up to you within this system. How do you want to retire your character at the end? You know, you can work with your game master, your alchemist, to see how they retire, but it's up to you if it gets to that point. Now, if we were starting this at level 1, and there's not really levels when we come into this, what are you doing here, Matt, with your... Oh, you can just show what's going on. This is very cool. I've just been doing it. I can't see a red thing in here. And then I came back to it. So what we would normally be doing now is working out the well-being, the health statistic for the character as he goes into that chronicle. So right away, we have a refresh value. So for every R we see up here, I have 3 currently. So my refresh value is 3 refresh, and I will make that.
What does that mean?
So when I need to be creating my health statistic in the social sphere, I will be pulling 3 cards from my personal deck here, which is currently a deck of cards that I got from Cornwall, and it has a little pixie on it, which is quite cool because Nyx is a pixie. Anyway, so what I would be doing is drawing 3 cards. I have clubs. Now I've drawn a triumph suit. This is interesting. Diamonds. I'm doing very well at the moment. And hearts. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean he gets 9 plus Jack plus 4 health? No, dear viewer, that would be too much health. What we're using here in the well-being is the suit value. Okay. Now, each suit has a value. The spades have 1 because they've got 1 point. The heart is 2 because it's sort of got two parts of it. The club is 3 because it's got those 3 things on it. And a diamond has got 4 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we have 2 here, we have 4 here, and we have 3 here. So 2, 3, 4, 7, 11. Should be 11 for my refresh. However, I have drawn one of my triumph suit cards. Now, whenever you draw a triumph suit, when you are refreshing your well-being, you get an extra 1 health with that. You get an extra 1 well-being. So in fact, I've got 4, 4, and 2. So that means that's 10. That's a good old 10 there.
Nice.
So we'll put that in for now. Now you know exactly what font we're using here, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty awesome.
Available at all good font stores near you.
I'm just going to do this, so it just takes out all of the. What's going on now? I just want white. Just get out of the way. There we are. Pull that down.
We're breaking it.
Just
fine.
It a little bit.
It's not broken. It's fine.
There we are. So currently we will be at 10 well-being here.
Should we do this for all 3, or should we go do the acquisitions now?
We'll do the acquisitions, because actually what I'm going to do is upgrade all of this with the quick and dirty leveling system to take us to level 12 after this. So
shall we build them at level 1 and then do the leveling up in a bit?
That's a good idea, because actually what we could do is just show what happens at level 12 in a little while. That's good. So now I also have an acquisition to create. Now I want this to be nice and random. So I have a choice of 4 slots here: a spade, a heart, a club, or a diamond. Now, what will my acquisition be? So it's going to be in the clubs area of my acquisitions. So I'll make that outlined there so you can see it. I have an active acquisition there. Now, the first one that I created If he was level 1, he didn't have Nyx at that point. So what we're going to do is have him, and I'm going to grey all these out so you guys don't need to be looking at all of this.
I've got my red box around the right one. It's all good.
But this is what so this, as if you remember way back when, Cassius was an information broker. So he comes in to the Chronicle with his info broker connections. Okay. Now, he also needs a number of uses for this. Now, we'll do the same thing that we did with refreshing our well-being, and we're going to take a card for what that is. So, we've got a club there. Again, my Triumph suit. So I actually get 4 uses with my information broker connections. Nice. Fantastic. Going into this game with 4 uses of this, brilliant. This is exactly what I want. So, pull this down here. We're just going to make it smaller. Let's do that same thing I did before. So it looks a bit pretty. So I want it to look pretty for you guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys of water. We want it to look nice for you.
The alchemist is not the only one that likes pretty things.
We all like pretty things here. So I have 4 uses of this acquisition. Every time I use this acquisition, that will go down to 1. Now, what happens when it goes down to 0, Lee? I hear you ask. Well, then it's fair game. Perhaps the alchemist can take this away from me. Perhaps it breaks. Perhaps something like that happens. You know, we don't always get to keep our stuff. I remember once when we were playing sort of a cosmic horror game. One of them had a really good pistol. Yeah, it was Carl. I thought it was you, Carl. Yeah. And it went down to 0, and I robbed it from him. One of the guys, he came away from the scene. He robbed Carl's pistol, ready to be used against him at a later time. So what happens when he runs out of his connections? Maybe he's not able to get to these connections anymore. Maybe Cassius's usefulness as an information broker. It's all about telling a different story. How can this table tell an interesting story with Cassius losing his information broker connections? Interesting stuff.
With something like that as well, you could easily bring them up. You could be like, you have made another connection, so you can add that to your asset.
Absolutely, yes.
Acquisition. Sorry.
As we go through this game, so once you complete a scene, you get sort of what's called a resolution action, a reward action, where you can do a number of things. You can start to reduce any wounds that you may have. You can refresh your deck. You can start shuffling cards into here. You can search for loot. So you could get another acquisition if you had an empty space there, or you could recharge that connection, things like that. So these, again, are dynamic values that we can use throughout this. So we have pretty much done power. Now, all I will say here is that you'll see that there are 7 experience points to 1 power point. This comes into when we're playing the game. There are various ways in which to gain experience points, which will be shown once we start playing this game. But if you're playing really, really well, there's nothing to say that you can't be advancing in power fairly quickly, but it all depends on how you're doing in telling this story. This is we want you to be telling an engaging story. So all of your experience points are going to be coming from that. You can't just go out into the forest and kill a load of, low-level goblins or something like that to be getting your experience points. This is a narrative-focused upgrade to your power to make you more capable in battle. So now we come to the second one. So now I only have 7 points in my physical sphere in which to go through this. So I think what again I'm going to do is so I've got 7. Right, so we'll do 3 up here because I want my maximum amount of points to be going into skills, because again, skill monkey.
And this is 7 out of your how many points again?
Well, so each of the spheres has a set number of character points that you can use at the start of this. So your sphere which actually means I've given myself too much. I've given myself too many points to go down at the bottom, so I'm actually going to need to do another refresh. There's another club there, so I need to add 4 to my first refresh.
Because it's your triumph suit.
Indeed, I'm burning through these triumph suits at the moment. So it's going to be very strong. Right, so we have 3 refresh and 1 acquisition to create in the physical sphere. So refresh 1, another triumph suit, so that's 4, 8, 12. I'm burning through these.
Oh
You don't
boy.
have many clubs left to
Absolutely
play with
burning
at
through
this
these. So 12 in the well-being in my physical suit. So really
Very
good
good.
refresh there. Now, obviously, this isn't going to happen every time. I could lose that 12 in the battle and then get all spades going into this next time. So it's not going to be potentially ideal for the next one, but then I could have a really good refresh value going into that afterwards. Again, a dynamic value just to make it a little bit exciting for us. So again, this is a free refresh there. Also, I've forgotten something that I needed to do. In your strongest sphere, depending on your triumph suit, you do not get a wound in your triumph suit. So if I were to be bested by a card from an opponent, be that the alchemist, be that someone else at the table, there is nothing to say that me and Carl could have a scrape and could fight that way. If I was to be bested and dropped below 0 on a club, then I'd actually be okay, because this is sort of one extra thing you get as the triumph. If it was a spade, you get rid of the spade, but only in your strongest suit. If it was to be in, if me and Graccus were having a fisticuffs and he was to best me with a club, I'm still getting a wound. For one, he's a big boy, and he's definitely going to have that as his strongest sphere. There's going to be no 2 ways about it. So he's going to be able to batter me. And even if I were to best him and hit him in his triumph suit, then he wouldn't get a wound. Makes sense, doesn't it? But Graccus isn't going to be able to best me in social combat. So there we are. So we have the refresh value there, and we have 1 acquisition to create. Now, I didn't. We'll just put in one that I didn't have at the start of this, because I've been giving myself 2 in our leveling up process. So lots of equipment that we had throughout our journeys in the streets of Mir. I had Cassius' pistol. I had Stahl's Derringer. I had.
What did you have at the beginning, though?
I just had a rapier and a crossbow.
Now, what cantrips did you have?
Well, cantrips, I would personally, as an alchemist, I would put them into the mental. I'd put them into the mental sphere. I think this is where we have Arcana there. This is the thing.
Some of them, so some of them are going to go in the mental sphere, but some of them are going to definitely go in the physical because you're using them in a physical encounter.
Well, then I think the nearest one that I would put in there then is probably Eldritch Blast. I had Eldritch Blast from the start.
Yeah.
As a warlock, I had that. As
you use the rapier more.
As a rogue, I wouldn't like to put sneak attack in there.
No,
I could put sneak attack in there because sneak attack gives a lot of damage, and really what acquisitions are doing is giving you a lot of damage in scenes. They can't be used all the time.
Yeah.
They can't be used all the time. These are kind of like Hail Mary things which rely on certain things to be there ready to go. Basically, we use cards again to do your order in a scene. So if this came up in a social encounter and this was my order, while it's 2 and it's very low, I could use my information broker connections. That has been unlocked for me. But if it was a heart, I'm high up in the order, but I can't use it because I haven't got anything in hearts. Can't use it. Okay.
I would also say for me as an alchemist, when it comes to things like magic, I would personally rate that more as a skill because it's something you're innately able to do potentially. Whereas acquisition
for cantrips, yes.
For cantrips, at least, I would put them as because you again like a cantrip, you want them to be able to be used at will.
Yeah.
Basically. Whereas, again, if you had a very powerful spell, for example, let's say Graccus has Moonbeam later on, that would probably be an acquisition because that is a very powerful spell.
Yeah,
that spell gone fuck shit up.
Exactly. So here we find our first interesting thing about reskinning 5e to alchemy. Where do we put things? Do we put things in acquisitions? Which sphere do we put them in? Do we put them lower down in a thing that's called flares, which is a specific use of a skill which can be used more than an acquisition, still adds more to your skill total? Where do we put it? So acquisitions in the physical space. What did I give them as? So this is things like equipment, armor, weapons, things like that. So I have one acquisition and it's going to go in the hearts. So we're going to bolden this,
and I'm going to read it.
He's going to read it. And what acquisition would he have at the beginning of this?
Does a rogue have sneak attack at the beginning?
Oh yeah, we have sneak attack at the start.
Yeah, it's one of it's their core trait.
Well, then we have that question. Then does sneak attack go there? Is it an acquisition?
I think really what would have happened if I was creating Cassius for the first time, we were playing Streets of Myr, and I had an acquisition that I could use here, I would have perhaps named one of my weapons or added something like poison. You know, he's an information broker. Poison is a very, salubrious thing that he would do. So let's say that if we were to start this all again, he would have night venom.
Ooh, night venom.
Bloody hell. Night venom. Oh, for goodness sake.
Night venom.
Ben. Actually, no.
Night venom.
Night venom. He has night venom poison. Because this is the Streets of Myr, and you can't tell me it's a typo, because this is a made-up world, all right? So, he has night venom poison. Okay, it's a very, very ugly poison, which is very bad.
Well, Cassius does like the night vermin.
He likes the night vermin, and he likes the night vermin as well. Yes.
When did Cassius become a really bad German?
As soon as he ran into Stahl,
precisely one typo ago.
as soon as he got that Stahl's Derringer, he started reading up on like old what's the south of Germany called?
I don't know. South Germany.
Bavarian.
Oh,
Bavarian.
yeah.
So, however, he only has 2 uses of the night venom. I'm keeping it, guys.
It's canon. It's canon.
If that's the thing that solves the major crisis at the end of this,
oh god,
it deploys a night venom.
He comes in with the night venom.
Graccus is going to be pissed if that's what solves the crisis at the end of all this. I'm going to just say that now.
So,
can you call it Nacht venom?
Yes, of course I can. I can call this whatever I want because we're making up a story as we go because that is what we do in alchemy. So I'm just adding my skill points to the bottom of the finesse. Okay, so we have the Nacht venom poison, which he has 2 uses of. Okay, then we come over to the mental sphere. So I can allocate a maximum of 3 of my 5 character points to power or finesse at Chronicle start. So again, I'm just going to be putting 2 on the top here. Because
so 1 refresh.
I'm a skill monkey. So now I have 2 refresh. As you'll see, you already get 1 refresh here. So this is basically so people don't go in with 0 health because that would break the game. And I want you guys, girls and bodies of water, to be healthy playing this game. So 2 refresh. We have a 2 and we have a 1. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, bodies of water, sometimes you get
a bad hand.
You get a bad deal. So we've gone from what was it, 14, 12, and 3. So
I think at the beginning, and potentially you could say at the beginning, being cast down from the heights of tier 2,
he's not going to be having a good time, is he?
Would have been a traumatic experience.
Yeah. What's good with the exactly what you're saying there, like with the dynamic changing of the health values, you can add narrative weight to anything here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can add, like, why has Cassius only got a 3 in well-being at the start of the game? Well, yeah, he's been cast down. He's been like, he was in tier 2. Well, actually, he's in maybe a little bit higher as well. Not sure yet, but we'll find out about that maybe a little bit after. But he's been cast down to tier 7 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's exhausted mentally. He's trying to change who he is to a gutter rat. No bueno for him.
Mm-hmm.
We could have equally done that if I got a particularly bad hand with the physical as well. He's been sleeping rough or something like that. But yeah, not doing too good in the mental sphere. And for his acquisition, it is a spade. So, what kind of mental acquisition does he have? Now, the one that I put down later, what I would have put in here was his afterlife tutors, where I slip off into the realm and basically go and meet Flash Gordon so he can help me do more performance.
Oh, not Flash Gordon.
Yeah,
Lord Flashheart.
Yeah, Lord Flashheart there. Oh yeah, thank you. That's what I put in here. But what would he have?
Meeting Flash Gordon, that would have changed
as a mental
Gordon's alive.
Yeah.
Your patron.
He is a warlock.
The true sight, the reading thing.
I didn't get the reading thing straight away, but equally I could just have it. The only reason I didn't have it straight away is because I needed to get to level 3 in D&D.
Again, we're talking about mechanical differences here between D&D and alchemy. As for the character of Cassius, that would be something that he would value and would be very important for who he was as a person, given that what he does is Foebreaker. So I think you can bend the transition point there from level 1 to level 1 to level 3.
Well, also, if we are violating our own canon, blame Wizards of the Coast. It's not our
blame
fault.
them changing their system reference document. How dare they? How dare they try and screw everyone over? Interestingly enough, though, I did write in that I could read all languages into this, but where I put it in was actually as a flair for social intuition.
Ooh,
okay.
Because again, I'm not going to be able to use it all the time.
True.
But when I am going to be able to use it, I would like it to be more powerful, because we don't. So flares, we'll come to flares in a second, but acquisitions, we want them to be used quite easily. Okay, so but not to be used all the time. That's where there's sort of like a restriction in how you can use them. Works on the order card, so you've got a 1 in 4 chance of maybe being able to use an acquisition if you have all of the slots available to you. Now, you can only get I've missed another bit out as well. You're supposed to have 2 flare. You're supposed to have 2 acquisitions in your stronger sphere as well. But even towards the end, like if we get right up to the end of the power track, we'll only be able to have 3 acquisitions in our median sphere and our inferior sphere. So there's a 25% chance you still won't even be able to use an acquisition there. It's a small amount, but something nonetheless. We don't want perfect characters here. Bodies of water. So what would Cassius have as an acquisition in his mental sphere? Do you know what? I'm going to say he had that special spyglass from the start. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah,
that really good spyglass.
I can't remember when you got that, so yeah, go on.
It was basically the first one that we did.
You got it out of you got it from the.
I got it from the old shack
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That's fine.
Stop it.
Is it not cooperating?
Investigator's Spyglass. When I was creating this character in the alchemy world, I would have spoken to my alchemist and gone, so he likes to spy on people. I'd like a spyglass to be able to be used, and then Matt would say yes or no, and then we go from there.
It's also worth pointing out as well.
Put that?
Have I put it somewhere else?
You may have put it somewhere else. Yeah. Acquisition name.
I've put it. Graccus. I've given it to you.
That don't make sense.
For some reason, this orc has a spyglass.
Hey, Surak might do for long range sniping. I think it's worth saying as well as part of the creation process for this is you will be telling your character's story up to a point. So you can, if you have acquisitions in mind, when you do this, you can absolutely include them in the character story. We've done it. We did it in the past when we did play previous versions. We had, I think, Doc, you had a weapon that was, or no, you had your doctor's toolkit, which was one of your acquisitions, and it was a key part of his narrative.
Yeah,
he had it with him for years. So
because he was a doctor,
precisely. So there's no harm. You don't have to necessarily come up with on the spot. You can, and it's an alchemist can even point out if during your story you say something like, "Oh, actually, if you're struggling for this acquisition, that part of your story you could have had this." Because again, this is a collaborative storytelling thing, as opposed to adversarial. So there's no harm in asking for help in building an acquisition list because but given choices, it's easy to freeze and not know an answer to a question. So why not ask for help? If you think so it fits, or you're struggling, think about who your character is, what their life has been up to the point. Because none of your characters are going to be zeros. They're going to be absolutely nobodies. They're going to have some history to themselves. Use it to build them.
Good advice there. Yes, good advice. Okay, so we have, and in general, good advice for life. So, Lee, we have. I'll put you back here on your your social sphere because you've got another acquisition.
I do. So, in your strongest sphere, you get another one. So you get two. So I have a diamond. The diamond acquisition. And what else would he have? I mean, just for ease and quickness, I'm going to have Cassius's familiar. Let's say he always had. Cassius is familiar with 4. Using up these bloody 4s as well now. So expertly available to do any social things, pretty good in the physical sphere. As soon as he gets to the job that he's actually supposed to do, basically for the first 6 months of this entire campaign that we've done, I'm going to get hurt very quickly and going to be leaving all of the mental things to Graccus the orc. Perhaps we never ever made it out of that little shack in tier 7 and just went mad in there.
Quite possibly. Okay, so Carl, I'm assuming as this has been going on, you've been sort of ticking over what would be in Graccus's on Graccus's sheet.
Yes, I have.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what. I need to have a little wee. Okay. So, do you want to do the power in your thing, Carl? And then I'll come back.
Yeah.
Because I need to go for a comfort break, ladies and gentlemen, bodies of water.
Normally we would pause, but let's not. Let's go down to Graccus Foebreaker. All right, here we are.
Oh, that is not nice because it's very, very big.
I think the reason for that partly is because it's still big. We needed to small it down.
Also, it's the font size possibly too.
It could be. It could be. Oh yeah,
Right.
I think Lee needs to do that.
Yeah, well, we can deal with that later.
We'll deal with that later. I just also It's not fair that I point out Lee's typos and not yours. We have Graccus Foebreaker.
Yeah, sure. I just see that as well. It's much like me. It's because I'm looking at your screen and then the one I'm typing on at the same time. So it's always a slight delay.
There we are.
We'll
Cassius
go with
Foebreaker. Okay, so you drew that, yeah, with the hearts. Let me small us down again, so we can see all of this. Because all right. So we have hearts. I gave you the street. Lee will
leave
fix
the chronicle
it
for now. Yeah. Do not know why it's misbehaving.
Lee, I'll let you do all that. Okay, so we have Graccus. We have Graccus Foebreaker, and we have Graccus Foebreaker. So Chronicle, obviously, Streets of Mir. We know this.
I'll leave
already.
that blank because we know that it is.
Yep. Lee, I'll let you fix the things up here. So your spheres, Carl. What are the spheres?
So, in terms of priority,
yeah.
Again, we know the three that we have. We have physical, social, and mental. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I am going to have.
Get a box on. There we are.
Nah, I always forget how to spell this, so correct me if I'm wrong.
You know I will. There we go. Nope, perfect.
Sweet. I always forget how to spell physical, to be honest. And I feel that since he is a spellcaster, being a druid.
Yeah. Mental, yeah, I would agree.
Again, looking at 2 pages at once here.
There we are. Mental. There we go. Got it.
Took us a while.
And in the last one, we have the social sphere. And yep, entirely on brand, entirely appropriate.
Yeah. And let's be honest, we all know that he had to have Graccus being the weakest in social because he mostly gets by grunting.
True. Grunting and bisecting. It's the two things there.
He mostly talks about leaving 2 halves of body in place.
Yeah, he speaks with sword.
Correct.
All right, so we have.
So I have to allocate 6 and 4. Indeed. Well, 10 points total, a maximum of 6 to 1. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, what are we looking at here?
What's the easiest way to fill these things? Because I've not used Canva before.
Tell me how much you want in power.
It's going to be 6 in power. Because again, 6. I feel like he should have a fair amount of refresh.
He should have a lot of. He should have a lot of power, shouldn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily a skilled man, but he is
Graccus
a brick
skill monk. Graccus is not a skill monkey. He knows how to swing a sword very well, and as later on we'll discover, shoot a gun very well. But that's about it.
We're like your producers right now. I'm doing the red box. Lee is doing the filling in. Lee's the secretary. I'm like, you're like doing the PowerPoint. I'm changing the slides, and Lee's doing.
And I'm doing the actual physical bits.
Yeah.
So right, I have a refresh of what? 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Okay, so I have diamond, heart, which is my triumph suit, club, spade. So 4, 4, 3, 3. So 4, 8, 11 plus the 14. Great fart there. 15. Because I've got a spade at the end.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. So, remind me, Lee. So remind both of us. The triumph suit is 4, right? Or is it just one more than?
It's one. It was one more than.
It's 1. Yeah, it's +1.
Okay.
The value. So because my heart to mine, it's a 3 rather than a 4.
Okay, and we have 2 acquisitions. Oh,
right.
And we have.
So give us a draw for 2 cards, Carl.
I have ace and hearts.
Ace and hearts.
Sorry, spades and heart. I apologise.
Spades and hearts.
Motorhead.
But
Spades.
the Ace of Hearts.
Which is ironic because if you actually look at the deck I'm playing with, it is quite a mechanical Ace of Spades.
It is quite, yeah. Oh, lovely.
The Ace of Sevens. Brilliant. So, physical sphere. What is Graccus coming into this with? Weapons,
Rage.
armor. Rage is definitely a good one. Rage is definitely. This was one of the things I was thinking. I would definitely see this as an acquisition.
Yeah, considering what it will probably do is it's going to bump damage high.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. As soon as we start talking how to break it up, I saw that and look, Rage has to be an acquisition and not a flare. Because as a flare, it's powerful but potentially too common, which feels wrong for that.
Yeah, spades or hearts, then, Carl.
We'll put that to hearts because that's triumph suit, so it means slight boost there. And in terms of and the other one I was thinking of was Wild Shape.
Ah, okay. Is that a physical one?
I mean,
you're changing your physical.
I mean, it changes its physical appearance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the logic I use there. It's a physical shape change.
Nice. Okay. Nice.
This is very cool. It's interesting how different our characters would have been going into this.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah.
Oh,
so now,
don't we?
Right. So two more cards, Carl. Let's see what your uses are.
So I have a diamond first, and then a heart second.
Okay. Where do you want to put? Well, should we go 4 for the berserkers and 2 for the wild shape? Because that's how you did it.
Yeah. Would it not be 3 because it's heart, which is my triumph?
You are correct, sir.
Nice. Also fits because it's the one you typically use more.
Right, I am more of a physical character than I am a druid, let's be honest. So Rage is more commonly used. But I think what you'll probably find, going into this Legend of Wars, I'm probably going to be a bit more druidy in this system than I am in D&D, purely because there's less mechanical gubbins to worry about.
Exactly. if Carl has an order card that is a spade in the fight, he could just turn
into a bear.
It just might turn into a bear and kill something, which is great. Narratively fantastic.
Also, very on brand for Graccus, I feel.
Yeah. Definitely. Right. All right. So the second was what? Mental?
Mental. So I'm actually going to flip this, and I'm going to have 3 in power and the rest in finesse.
Oh, okay.
Because again,
gotcha.
I see spells as being flares. So I feel like I probably want more in finesse.
Okay.
Because that, again, if that's how we're going to do it, then we'll do that.
Finesse coming soon.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll cover that when we get there.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
So that is a refresh of 3. Is that the refresh?
That is indeed.
Okay, so I have a heart, which is 3, and then 2 diamonds. So 8, 11 total.
11, nice. Okay.
1 acquisition in mental. So let's see what spells I had at level 1. Because this is what I'm going to base it on. Now, obviously, as a druid in D&D, I have access to the full list.
Yeah.
And I can just pick and choose what I want to prepare.
And what slot will it go into, Carl?
It's going to go into spades again.
Spades again.
Now, this is the streamlining, because you'll be taking something that you used, you actually used, because a bunch of the druid stuff just doesn't get a use.
I've never touched it. And you know what I'm going to use, considering the world we're playing in? I'm going to detect poison and disease.
Nice. Nice.
That and detect magic are things that we use quite frequently. But I feel.
What would you like to call it? Because it doesn't need to be called that.
Ooh, that's a good question. I would still see it as being. Well, that's druid. To me, it's not necessarily a spell. It's more of a druid thing. So,
toxin
familiarity.
Toxin familiarity.
It's similar to Cassius with his Nactavonem.
Nactavonem.
Being a druid, I'm used to dealing with plants and healing people to a certain extent, or helping with the healing. So therefore, he gets familiar with it. In terms of uses, it's another heart.
Nice.
That is 3.
Nice. Okay, we're about to jump again over to the other side.
Are you putting these cards back into your deck, Carl?
Separate.
Cool. Okay. This is just something for you all to know. While you're doing this, don't put your cards back into the deck. So I've got this is why it was quite bad that I was going through all my clubs really early on.
I've used a few hearts. I've used a few more hearts than I might have liked, to be honest, at this point. And this is social.
And
so
we retire Graccus.
So here's the thing. I see Graccus as, again, not being very social, so he's not going to have many skills. So I'll put more into power.
Okay. So 3-2?
3-2.
Okay. Which gives you the refresh again of 3.
Yeah, that's fine. So I have club, diamond. I'm using a lot of diamonds early outdoors and don't like it. So that is a club, so 3, and 2 diamonds, which is another 11 total.
So
I'm drawing very well, that means I'm burning very good value.
Graccus has been down here a lot longer.
Yes, he has.
No, he's not. He's not got the mental the mental angst of being with the common folk.
And for the acquisition this time, it's a club.
All right, down here we go to the club. And what do you reckon?
This will probably be based on his history with the gangs.
Yes, it would.
So, how to phrase this?
I mean, it could be that, or it could, I mean, he is an intimidating fellow.
I was going to say gang enforcer, but that's what he was, and that's probably what people around here would recognise him as.
Or enforcing presence.
Yeah, it will probably work better. Because I'm not specifically a gang enforcer anymore. And I keep drawing my hearts for this.
Did he have a reputation as a gang enforcer?
Yeah, like that's where he got the nick. That's where he got the surname of Foebreaker.
Foebreaker, yeah. It could be like reputation, enforcer reputation.
Yeah, there's probably a better way.
Or violent reputation. Or
actually, no. The Foebreaker is the best option there.
The Foebreaker, yes. The foe equals breaker, which actually is completely correct. Foe equals break.
Yep, that is Graccus' instruction manual. If you encounter foe, equal break.
Break them.
Yeah.
And did you do your uses? Sorry.
That's a heart for that one as well. I really don't like that I'm burning hearts so fast.
It's interesting that you're burning hearts so far.
It's 3 to leave for me with triumph. So,
thank you.
You're more welcome.
So a really well-rounded character.
Indeed.
Straight away. 15, 11, 11. Lots of uses in the acquisition.
I got very lucky on that mental well-being draw. To be fair, that could have been very bad, and I was kind of social. To be honest, I thought social would be a lot worse. I just drew it again. Annoyingly, I drew 2 diamonds. I didn't necessarily want to draw.
I mean, I just had a bit of a duff. Well-being thing. It doesn't mean that It doesn't mean that Cassius will die straight away. He may get a wound, which is just narratively interesting to begin with.